What about Ben? Is Ben there?
It's not going to end if you keep doing shh like that.
Okay, councillors, can I have your attention, please? We're 6 minutes past 7. Sorry, everyone, for the belated start, but we now commence the meeting. I welcome you all to this meeting of the Cardinia Shire Council and declare the meeting open. Due to current COVID-19 restrictions, this meeting is being held virtually and webcast live over the internet. On the matter of the COVID restrictions in place, I encourage any residents that may be affected by the current restrictions to refer to Council's website. There is a raft of information available that may be of assistance, and my thoughts are with everyone during these very difficult times. Thank you. Moving on to the prayer and reflection, I'll ask Councillor Kowarczyk to say the prayer and reflection. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Owen. I would ask those gathered to join us now for a few moments of silence as we reflect on our roles as councillors. Please use this opportunity for reflection, prayer, or thought to focus on our shared intention to work respectfully together for the well-being of our whole community.
Thank you, Councillor Kowarczyk. Cardinia Shire Council respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Bunurong and Wurundjeri people and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Moving on to apologies. I note that we have no apologies. All councillors are present. Minutes of previous meetings. Councillors, can I have a motion, please, to adopt the minutes of the previous meetings as listed in the agenda? Can I ask for a mover and a seconder, please? I note Councillor Moore moving, seconded by Councillor Radford. Thank you, councillors. I'll put that up for a vote. All those in favour, please indicate by a show of hands. Thank you. Any against? That's carried. Thank you, councillors. Declarations of interest. Councillors, are there any declarations that you wish to highlight or raise at this stage? I note there is none. Thank you, councillors. Before we go to ordinary business, I do welcome our newly elected councillor, Councillor Kay Cameron, representing Western Port Ward. Congratulations, Kay, on your election, and we all look forward to working with you within the councillor group in the future. So welcome, Councillor Cameron.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to working with everybody as well.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Moving on to item 6.2.1, appointment of community asset committees for recreation reserves. This item has been withdrawn by Councillor Kowarczyk. Thank you, Councillor Kowarczyk.
Thank you, Mayor Owen. I move that Council appoint the following persons to the respective community asset committees appointed by Cardinia Shire Council in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Kowarczyk. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Radford. I note you as seconder. Going to the mover to speak, Councillor Kowarczyk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Owen, and thank you, Councillor Radford, for your second. It's much appreciated. I wanted to withdraw this item to highlight the commitment of these committees and the people on them, and also thank them for all their hard work. There are 26 recreation reserves within Cardinia Shire, which are managed by committees. 13 of these reserves are managed by council-appointed community asset committees. Members of community asset committees are elected annually, and upon elections require appointment by council resolution pursuant to the Local Government Act. Volunteers are such a key part of our community, and whilst we do pause to thank them during National Volunteer Week, tonight offers a great opportunity to recognise the hard work and dedication that goes into maintaining and running these reserves. Community asset committees voluntarily assist council in the ongoing management and improvement of council's facilities. This enables the community to participate in sport and recreation activities that provide health and social benefits to the broader community. I note through conversations with my fellow councillors that there are some very long-serving members within these committees, so again, I want to thank them for their dedication and commitment to our local community. Finally, and I've just touched on the health and social benefits of having these reserves run well, which is obviously pretty evident. I also wanted to mention the financial benefit to the community that having these committees has. These community-led committees save ratepayer money because without them, council would have to hire extra staff and pay more money for maintenance. I'll go to my fellow councillors. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk. I'll go to the seconder, Councillor Radford. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk, for withdrawing this item. It is important to highlight these committees and the volunteers that are within them. The role of a volunteer on a community asset is so important. The volunteers contribute their time, their skills and experience to ensure these facilities meet the needs of residents. So I'd like to thank all of the community members that are named within this report. There is a big long list, and I do note there are some very long time volunteers within that list. Thank you. Thank you for your time and dedication and willingness to be involved with the management of these community recreation reserves. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Any other councillors wishing to speak to this item? I can't see any additional councillors. Before I go back to the mover to sum up, thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk and Councillor Radford, for your supportive comments to this item, and also the volunteers that do an amazing job. And as was referenced, some of these people on these lists have been volunteers and on these committees for tens and tens of years, decades and decades. So that's an amazing achievement, and from the mayoral role, I just want to congratulate and thank those people involved. These are great reserve committees. And yeah, I'm really pleased that, you know, we're doing more in this space to support our volunteers in these spaces, these committees. We need to embrace them and really support them in the future. So thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk, to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for your comments, and also to Councillor Radford. I'll keep it pretty brief. This is an ever-changing list, as these committees obviously have their AGMs and new members are appointed. But I think the message stays the same, and it's been echoed by my fellow councillors tonight. Volunteers are so crucial in a healthy, resilient and active community, and without them, the community suffers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk. So I put this item 6.2.1, appointment of community asset committees for recreation reserves, up to a vote. All those in favour, please indicate by a show of hands. Thank you. Any against? I see none. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to the next item, withdrawn. 6.2.5, PB Ronald Reserve Master Plan. This item has been withdrawn by Councillor Ryan. Thank you, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Item 625, the PB Ronald Reserve Master Plan. This is the officer's recommendation that council note the consultation undertaken and following changes made to the PB Ronald Reserve Master Plan. Note the potential impact of the Multicultural Hub project on the master plan in future, support and endorse the PB Ronald Reserve Master Plan. Looking for councillor support on this, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Can I have a seconder, please, councillors? Thank you. I note Councillor Kowaczyk. Going back to the mover, Councillor Ryan, to speak to the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This has been a long time coming project. The PB Ronald Master Plan, final July 2021, is the draft of the master plan was presented to councillors in August 2020. After the community consultation on the draft master plan, it was decided that due to a number of submissions not supportive of the draft master plan, a final draft of the master plan with revised changes was to be presented for further public exhibition. The community did not support the following aspects of the draft plan: proposed removal of the tennis courts for multi-use courts, proposed location of the men's shed as it is an impact on the tennis, the new bowling green, the future of the outdoor swimming pool, which is not, as I am stating now because it's been marked, that it's not in the scope of this master plan at this stage. A final draft master plan was prepared with the following changes, changing from 1 to 2 multi-purpose courts, 1 with tennis lines, additional, tennis lines, marking and other multi-use as originally designed. Additional footbridge for the playground to the green space to improve accessibility. Additional notes to clarify the following aspects: the CFA running track, practice aspects, approved signage, community garden, which is a sensory play and food strategic alignment. The final draft master plan was presented to the public from the 18th of December 2020 to the 31st of January 2021 to improve clarity for the community engagement activities were carried out. Utilising Council's online community engagement platform, Creating Cardinia, a frequently asked questions webpage was provided with explanations to many of the questions received through the previous consultations. A formal submission form was provided on the Creating Cardinia website for the community to provide further feedback on the final draft plan. The letter dropped to the neighbouring residents within 500 metres of the reserve. Emails to all key stakeholders at the reserve and residents who provided their contact details to Council to be informed of the project. Information sent to all local schools to be included in this newsletter. 3 formal responses were submitted. Safety concerns relating to the use of the UCFA running track and proposed car park. It was determined that the existing car park was sufficient. Therefore, the running track area would be aside for scooter track, fire safety theme to be explored further in detail with the design process. A bit of background about the PB Ronald Reserve. It's approximately 2.7 hectares, close to the centre of Pakenham. It's bound by Henty Street, Anderson Street and John Street. The creation of the reserve was a result of the community action in the 1890s and then by Council in later years. The park accommodates several buildings and users, including Pakenham Swimming Pool, the Pakenham Tennis Club and tennis courts, Pakenham Bowling Club, Pakenham Library Hall and U3A, which is the University of the Third Age Adult Education, Pakenham Living and Learning Centre, the Men's Shed, Community Gardens. The reserve provides residents and the community a place to recreate and play and enjoy open space participation and sport. The reserve currently offers the following activities. And I think we've already gone through that, so I'm not going to double on that because it is a long process reading this. In September 2019, phase 1 consultation was undertaken with the community to gain the input of the redevelopment of the master plan. And I'll leave it there because I'll let the other councillors who would like to speak on this, and my seconder, Councillor Kowalski, and I'll sum her up after everyone has spoken. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan, for introducing this item and your introductory comments. I'll go to Councillor Kowalski as seconder. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Ryan, for your comments and for withdrawing this item tonight. Following extensive community consultation, Council stands ready to formally support and endorse the PB Ronald Reserve Master Plan. This is an important step in a process that has been ongoing for many years, as Councillor Ryan mentioned, and its implementation will occur over a 10-year period. The Pakenham Structure Plan identifies PB Ronald Reserve as one of the two main open spaces within Pakenham, and it's important to identify that. The structure plan notes the importance of ensuring that existing open space areas are of high quality, are well connected by paths, and can be used for a range of activities. The structure plan identified the following actions. Review the PB Ronald Reserve Master Plan to ensure that it's consistent with the vision and direction provided. The review is to include the identification of possible future civic uses on this site. The PB Ronald Reserve Master Plan also aligns with Council's Livability Plan 2017 to 2029. Particularly as the reserve provides the community with a number of different experiences, activities and services, as well as some much needed open space. Now, I think Councillor Ryan has covered some of the key features, but one thing that I just wanted to mention was the relocation of the Remembrance Cenotaph and plaques, creating a safer and more accessible location for the community to gather. Obviously, a crime prevention through environmental design report has been prepared to guide the design and implementation of the master plan. As Cardinia Shire Council knows, that community safety is paramount. Adopting this master plan tonight will allow council officers to begin further detailed design of the new skate park and the wider reserve. I'd like to thank officers for their hard work and diligence throughout the process so far, as well as our community for their engagement, which has shaped the outcome of this master plan. With the possibility of the new multicultural hub being located nearby, there's obviously still work to be done. The next steps for this project include getting further detailed design done, as well as incorporating this project into Council's Capital Works program. Thank you, Mayor and Councillor Ryan, and I hope my fellow councillors support this motion tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Kowalski. Any other councillors wishing to speak to this item, either for or against? I call upon Councillor Ross first. Thank you, Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. Just contributing to the conversation in relation to the BP Ronald Reserve, something that's extremely important strategically about master plans is the fact that with master plans, it allows you to bid in future for state or federal government money. Without a master plan, it is really hard to define what you need the money for in a detailed way. Whereas with this master plan, we can now put it into our bids for grants and for political donations at election time, so they can actually define exactly what it's going to go for. It's a strategic plan which whoever chooses to give us the money will know that it's going into this master plan. The master plan, I must say, has been going for quite a long time. It started back in 2019. It's taken quite a long time to come together as there were so many groups within inside the reserve using the reserve, and they were contributing to what they felt they would like to see happen within the reserve. Anyway, we've come up with quite a detailed report here. With a bit of luck, we've managed to have most of the groups be happy with what they can see here, and we look forward over the next 10 years to making this happen, whether it be through future projections with inside council budget or with getting some donations or grants or election promises that come forward which can speed up the staging of different projects within the reserve. Anyway, I hope my fellow councillors will support this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Any other councillors wishing to speak? I call upon Councillor Tammy Radford. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ryan, for withdrawing this item for discussion. I wanted to highlight out of this report the community consultation and engagement. There were constraints under the COVID restrictions that normally, you know, the council officers would pop out and have face-to-face meetings with people, but they've had to, you know, adapt and do online surveys, emails, phone calls, and that sort of thing. And they still managed to get a really good feedback from the community, which has now been considered and where possible incorporated within this master plan. So I just want to applaud that excellent work done by council officers to ensure that there still was a thorough process in the community consultation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Any other speakers? Don't see any further. I will go to Councillor Ryan to sum up, please. Thank you, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. The development of the master plan for the PB Ronald Reserve has been a long and thorough process, as Councillor Radford has pointed out. I thank all the councillors for your support. This is a process that we have to go through as council, and in doing that, it's not, it just doesn't happen like that. It happens in quite from, as we said, September 2019 until now, and that's quite a long time, and we've also got the 10-year plan as well. The final draft of the master plan was presented to the public exhibition for from December 2020 to January 2021, with information made available to the community addressing a lot of the concerns raised during phase 2 consultation. 3 formal responses were received and addressed where possible. One of the extra notes that I would like to add, in the northeast part of the corner end of the swimming pool, which is Anderson Street and John Street. In the master plan, it shows just shrubberies and trees, and that's not. It's been noted there's funding for extra screening in the corner, the outdoor pool, installing an artistic screen at the north end corner of the outdoor pool. The screen is to hide the machinery at the end of the pool there and extended to cancel. And part of this will be, we will be engaging local artists and Indigenous artists and artists with disabilities. I think this is important that we include everyone from every aspect, because this is about Cardinia Shire, and this mural wall will be about Cardinia Shire and what we have to bring to Cardinia Shire, but it's also including our community. And I think that's really, really important. I'd like to thank the officers. I think they've done a fantastic job considering how long it's taken, and also the fact that with COVID, we are in restrictions. And I think sometimes our residents forget that, you know, things don't happen quickly when you're in a COVID situation. So I will leave it at that, and I hope that my fellow councillors will support me on this this motion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. And councillors, I will put this item for a vote. This item is the PB Ronald Master Plan, item 6.2.5 up for a vote. All those in favour, please indicate by show of hands. Thank you. Any against? I see none. That's carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to the next item, 6.2.6, which is the Gender Equity and Equality Monthly Report. This item has been withdrawn by Councillor Ross. Thank you, Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation that Council stays informed of Cardinia's commitment and progress towards gender equity within the organisation and the community in general.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Can I ask for a seconder, please? I see you, Councillor Ryan. Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Going back to the mover, Councillor Ross to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, speaking to this report, as the executive summary tells us, the people and the cultural team continues to work towards the implementation of the Gender Equality Act while delivering the organisation-wide training. A few of the actions planned for July, more specifically regarding training, have been delayed due to Victoria's most recent COVID lockdown. No new actions were completed in the last month, so a summary of ongoing activities is included below in the body of the report. I must say this monthly report outlines Council's commitment to gender equity and gender equality. For far too long, there's been a gaping gap between the genders in equity and equality. This has existed in the past. We at Cardinia Shire Council are committed to best practice in these two areas. This report continues to outline the work inside council to remedy and make these gaps lessen. When you look through the subheadings of some of the activities going through, we're looking through the Gender Equality Act. We've got gender impacts assessments, gender surveys, gender audits, respectful workplaces training, sexual harassment survey working groups, leadership commitment statements. When you read through, these are some of the things that the council is working on. And what I will do is just finish with our vision statement for this report and for council's vision in this area. We want everybody who lives, works and spends time in Cardinia Shire Council area, regardless of their gender identity, to be treated with respect and fairness, to feel and be safe, and to have equal access to opportunities to reach their fullest potential and pursue their dreams. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. I will move to the seconder. Thank you, Councillor Ryan to speak.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Thank you, Councillor Ross. This is really an important project in reference to it's a long time coming again, and I'm glad that our council is seeing forward that this is one of the most important identities that we were lacking over many years. Best practice and gender equality is always a strong point. And I was just looking down on some of the information that was given to us. The councillors are also doing workshops to get familiar with the way that we should see things from everybody else's point of view. Again, equality. So it's gender pay, equality, workplace sexual harassment. I think that's one of a big key things that has continually happened over many, many years. And I'm not going to read because I get lost on my reading, because I apologise. I don't like being on screen and reading that way. I just think that, you know, equality for all, equality for everyone, that, you know, don't be afraid to pull something up if you see it. If you see that someone's not being treated equally in this gender equality, I think that there are some very naive people there that are disrespectful, and I think it's time that we are leading the way as council on this matter, and I hope that our community follows suit with what council is pursuing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Any other councillors wishing to speak to this item? I see several. I'll go to Councillor Davies first. Thank you, Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight a community member actually raised a question about why I make claims for councillor expenditure for childcare. Our governments want to achieve equality in elected councils, and they've legislated to provide reimbursement for childcare, for disability care and for elder care costs. And it's available to any councillor needing it at any time during service, male or female. Our CEO is going to be answering the resident's question, but I would like to take this opportunity to express my disappointment at any criticism of childcare, because gender-based attributes are actually protected by law, and it's 2021. And this is why we need this work. And I'd rather talk about my work on council. So my work has included advocacy, inclusion for disabilities, customer service, on finances, on governance, transport, sustainability, oversight on parks and reserves and social services. As a councillor, I get to work with the CEO and senior officers. I work with yourself, our mayor, and my other councillors, our MPs, our community volunteers. My grandmothers did not have the opportunities I have, and I am so grateful that we have progress in gender equality. Furthermore, as councillors, we've been privileged to be able to witness a huge program of work being done in relation to gender equality by council officers. The efforts and the reports coming back to us from the staff are of an exceptionally high quality. And thank you, Cardinia staff. One of my observations personally about gender inequality is that every woman has a story. Many women, including myself, have stories of frustration or of sorrow. Sometimes they're really sinister, workplace discrimination, financial abuse. And sometimes it just might be reflections about, growing up, my brother never had to do the dishes, he got to play. But tonight I want to talk about change, and change is confronting. We are all products of our environment, and each and every one of us has grown and lived in a world with sexism. It's a reality. And to change, we all need to challenge ourselves. We need to question our internal biases, challenge our own perceptions and our own assumptions. And I would really like to express my gratitude and talk about our 3 longest serving councillors, our Mayor Councillor Brett Owen, Councillor Colin Ross and Councillor Graham Moore. All 3 have been elected representatives for more than 10 years. And in that 10 years, the expectations, the knowledge and the protection of gender equality has increasingly emerged. I consider that it takes a lot of guts to acknowledge that, yes, perhaps I am extremely privileged in society, and to take that on and challenge beliefs and perceptions. This is what I consider is leadership, and I've been very proud to witness this within our council. Councillor Moore, I hope you don't mind me talking about you, but I note that you do often call yourself out. You talk about being old school, but Councillor Moore is always also willing to listen. His respect for his daughters, his wife and their friends is evident, as is his wish to always do better. And tonight at briefing, Councillor Moore said, "You can teach this old dog new tricks." And it's absolutely true. Thank you, Councillor Ross and Councillor Ryan, for withdrawing this item. Change is hard, but let's keep going. We know that equal societies are better for all. Gender equality is just also the tip of the iceberg on discrimination. But I am incredibly excited about this work and how we will move forward together. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davies, for your words and contribution. I will go to Councillor Radford. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ross, for getting this onto our agenda monthly. It's appreciated. It is important that Cardinia Council stands out and be visible on the issues around gender equity and equality. It is about creating an environment that welcomes gender diversity, one without stereotypes that can be hurtful and harmful. It also enables participation in conversations, decision-making and valuing that contribution. It is important that Council continues to undertake projects that promote and progress towards gender equality, as this will have a positive impact on Cardinia's employees as well as their residents. I would also like to highlight what is within this report, and that is to congratulate Office Awards Officer City Football Club, who were successful in receiving a Change Our Community Activation grant and received $6,500. This grant will assist in promoting gender equality in sport and increasing female participation. So I would really like to congratulate the Office of City Football Club for taking a stand and showing some leadership in this area of gender equality within local sports, and congratulate you on that grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Any other councillors wishing to speak to this item? I see none. Thank you, councillors, for your contribution to this item. I really enjoyed hearing you all speak to this item. I will go to Councillor Ross to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you everyone for giving your perception and your journey in this space. I must say, it's really interesting when it was brought up. Everyone's got a story. The story I can bring along where Cardinia Shire was when I first got on council, 2008, 7 males got voted on. Councillor Owen and myself were the 2 women's champions with inside the group, even though we were a male. It was really sad that we had to attend and we just couldn't have that vision or insight that we could. It was rather strange when we turn up for different women's events as males. But I must say, since that time, and taking a bit of a look back at a snapshot in 2008, no one on council had a mobile phone. You didn't get issued one. You didn't have a laptop either. You only had a computer at home, which was pretty hard to take anywhere. We dealt in paper only. And in that time, we had a CEO who was a male. Out of the 5 general managers, we only had 1 female out of all the general managers too. I must say we've moved forward in leaps and bounds since that time. We all got mobile phones. We got laptops so we could take our computers wherever we went with dongles on them. The 2012 election, where we went to 9 councillors, we had 4 females who were elected. 2016 we had 3, and this time we had 3, and now it's 4 with the by-election. So even though we can't have influence over that, I think once you get around the 50%, you're starting to get a really good idea, and it's totally invaluable, the experience that women bring to the conversation, because as a male, we don't know what everybody goes through. Everyone's got a different story, but it's really good that they can bring that on board. And I think this is an excellent way with this, where the whole organisation comes on the journey with us, not only councillors, council staff and everyone involved. So anyway, I look forward to this conversation in future and to look at what happens in this report as it comes back month by month. I thank all my fellow councillors for their contribution, and if you could support this report, that would be fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors, I will put this item to a vote. This 6.2.6 Gender Equity and Equality Monthly Report to a vote. All those in favour, please indicate by show of hands. Thank you. Any against? I see none. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to the next item, item 6.3.1. Proposed local law 20, open air fires local law. So this item has been withdrawn by Councillor Springfield. Thank you, Councillor Springfield.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Springfield. Can I have a seconder, please? I see you, Councillor Moore. Thank you. I note that. Going back to the mover, Councillor Springfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, there was a lot of detail within the officer's recommendations, so I thought rather than list every little part of the legislation and which act it applies to, I'll just cut straight to the chase. Look, it's a bit overdue, this review of the open air burning policy due to COVID. Lots of things have been put on hold, and this is one of the first items that was supposed to come up early last year, has been put on hold to now, but it is recognised as being overdue, and I hope will be welcomed by our community. Some of the key notes to take place, I guess, to note this, the endorsement of tonight, if it is endorsed, we'll see a 28-day statutory consultation process goes out to the community to provide us with feedback on their thoughts of the proposed plan. We have already gone through an extensive engagement process back 2 years ago to try and capture the thoughts of our residents who do burn off, some that don't choose to burn off, and try to develop a policy that's going to suit the needs, the balance of needs best within our community. And I hope this policy does that. I believe it does, but we'll leave it open to community feedback from the next 28 days from here. Some of the key points to note is that it is planned to come into effect on the 1st of February next year. So it will come into effect effectively at the end of the fire danger period as of next year. The days, there's an increase in days, and I think this will be welcomed by many within the community of my area as well, and others across our Shire. And it's going to be split into three main areas. You're going to have the urban township zones, which is like your town centres, your bushland and peri-urban zones, which is the bulk of the properties, I think, in question, and then the rural zones, which are currently isolated as well as the rural zones in the current policy. But I think I'm going to just pertain to the bushland and peri-urban zones, which makes up the bulk of the residents that will be affected by this. And it is proposed that fires can have or burning off for the purpose of fuel reduction to mitigate fire risk will be on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. Now, this is an increase of 1 day from the current policy that we have, but our officers don't believe it will increase the amount of burning off that occurs. It'll just spread it out a little bit more evenly over these days and give people more opportunity to burn off when it's suitable for them, because it is difficult when you are working, when you have a bunch of lifestyle effects. The weather's you don't know what's going to happen, if it's raining or not, or if it's too windy. So a lot of these effects come into play when you have to really balance them when you are going to effectively burn off for fuel reduction. And another key factor I think to note is that it's proposed to have no burning off in July and August. Just to recognise the fact that these are the wet months, and burning off wet piles causes the most grief for neighbours and such. So more burning off in the months where it is more conducive to the weather climate for this to occur, and less during those winter months of July and August. I'll leave it there for now, Mayor, and I'll let you go to my seconder, and thank you.
Sorry, councillors, I had an issue with the mute button. Thank you, Councillor Springfield. I will go to Councillor Moore to speak as seconder. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Owen. And look, it's an honour to second Councillor Springfield in this particular item. It does get a lot of public interest, particularly in the Rangers ward area and the Bunyip ward area, where we're both councillors for this term. Councillor Springfield has covered most of these items. I've just been scribbling my notes out as he's been speaking so I don't take his thunder. But I realise the proposed open air fire local law aims to provide adequate provision for fuel reduction and fire prevention, while discouraging unnecessary smoke, health hazards. And so it's important to our community to understand what they are. The proposed local law Renewals, which focuses on smoke impacts on our community, bushfire fuel reduction and property preparation, burning off timeframes, burning off in townships, alternative methods of green waste disposal, which is very important to us, and environmental impacts, of course. As a part of the proposed local law, the Shire will divide into 3 zones, as Councillor Springfield pertained to. And if the criteria is met within the rural zone, a permit for burning off may not be required. So this is up for public exhibition from next Friday. This is Friday coming, which is the 20th of August. From there on, and I encourage our community to put in some some thought into what they want in this policy. That's we call it public engagement. We want our community engaged in these policies, and this is what this is all about. And I think it's going to be what they want. We want to hear what they want to have out in our community. Really, we don't. There's a lot of controversy for and against this policy. I hear a lot. I see a lot of fires burning on Sundays from where I live, and I always shake my head in disbelief that people don't understand what the policies are within our Shire and what compliance need to put up with in these situations. But I do like the idea of not burning in the July and August months, a no burn month, because people don't understand that the wet green waste, burning it, cause a lot more smoke, and it just achieves very little. So I think that's a great part of this renewal of this policy. The other thing, of course, is to note that there's no burning, of course, on public holidays as well. Now, what we need to do as councillors is get out there and make sure that our community understand these policies and know what these policies mean. And I think awareness is one of those things. Having a policy is one thing, and having awareness on these policies is another. But I want to thank the emergency management team of Cardinia Shire, led by Debbie Tyson and the team, for a great lot of work in this space. And I really I salute them for doing such a fantastic job. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any other councillors wishing to speak to this item? Thank you. I note Councillor Ross to speak. Thank you, Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Springfield and Councillor Moore, for your words around this space. I know that you too live in these areas, and it's always in the forefront of your mind, these things, particularly when we have seasons that go round every year, and some seasons, bushfire seasons, are worse. I must say this open air burning policy is a really important policy within inside our Shire. Cardinia Shire Council is in the second most fire prone area for bushfires in the world. Cardinia Shire Council have had things like Ash Wednesday, Black Saturday, the Bunyip bushfires, all impose their burning within inside Cardinia Shire Council. And this policy coordinates together, and it's of the highest importance that we keep the topic of burning off to rid our Shire of extra bushfire fuel at the forefront. I must say this policy is really a living policy that we will try and strengthen and improve as time goes on. Also too, it's an amazing policy because as the seasons change and as we get wetter or we get drier and those sort of things, it changes the whole demographics of the hills where the bushfires happen. So every year, you know, it might be too wet, it might be extra dry. We get information all the time from our emergency services department with inside council. I think this is a hotly interested topic, and I must say our community really get on board and try and participate within it and give their best view on what they think should be done. So it is a balance between trying to make sure that we cover all the bases. I think the councillors in the hills have always done that. They've negotiated well with the community, trying to work out what would work tangibly and what would meet their needs. It will continue to be an issue for us for the long term and forever. So we just have to keep dealing with it and keep trying to improve it. I hope my fellow councillors support this going out, and that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Any other councillors wishing to speak? I see none. I will go back to the mover, Councillor Springfield. Oh, sorry. Councillor Cameron, would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question for Councillor Springfield. I'm just wondering if there's been any consultation with the traditional owners in relation to the reduction of fuel burning for this. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you, Councillor Cameron. The CEO, are you there? Can you respond to that? The CEO.
Yes, I am, Mayor. I'm sorry, my camera is not switching on, but I have to take that question on notice, Mayor, and I can't be certain right now that we have taken direct and detailed consultation with our traditional owners on this matter.
So we'll get that answer back to you, Councillor Cameron.
Thank you.
Any other councillor wishing to speak? There being none, I'll go to Councillor Springfield to sum up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors, and thank you to Councillor Cameron for her interest in engagement with the traditional owners of the land in which we stand. Look, and my understanding is that there has been consultation in the past, especially pertaining to our larger burning off in public spaces. Not so much, I believe, in the burning off for fuel reduction of private properties, which this policy is relating to. But it's a really good point to note, because when it comes to our larger burning off that we do undertake, we don't undertake it ourselves, but CFA do in some of our parks and reserves each year. And what I'm told is that there is consultation in that space. I think it's important to note that this policy relates to fuel reduction for the purposes of fire safety. And it's not supposed to relate to burning off your weeds, burning off your wet litter. It really is encouraged from council, from an environmental perspective, to reduce your garden wastes and hazards through using your green bins, through our free green waste drop-offs that we offer through Cardinia Shire twice yearly, and through other means, because it doesn't create the best environmental impact burning off everything whenever you can. So the purpose is certainly not directed for that. And some people do have very ill health effects from biomass and such, and that is noted, recognised within the report. So just to let the residents know that they're not forgotten about, that you do have impacts at time from biomass smoke. Look, I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mayor. And go to our councillors, but I appreciate everyone listening, and I look forward to this policy moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Springfield. Councillors, I will put item 6.3.1, proposed local law 20, open air fires, local law, up to a vote. Those in favour, please indicate by show of hands. Thank you. Any against? I see none. That's carried unanimously. Yeah, that item is carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to the next item, which is 6.5.2, the Environment Quarterly Report. This report has been withdrawn by Councillor Davies. Thank you, Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council notes the report and accepts the officer's recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you. I see you, Councillor Kowaczyk. I note that. Back to you, Councillor Davies, to speak to the item.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk, for your second. I have withdrawn this report for discussion with particular reference to hard waste. So we are now 1 year on. We are now 1 year on from changing Cardinia from a twice yearly whole of Shire calendar timed waste pickup to bookable hard waste collection, and it hasn't been without challenges. Personally, I registered online and I booked it in, and on Saturday put a small pile out, and overnight it grew, and then the next night some more. And this phenomenon, well, it's not just happening on my street. If your neighbours add a lot and the pile becomes oversized when their waste truck comes and they don't pick it up and they issue you a note, please call council. We get it. It's a problem. Happened at my house too. The councillors have looked into this in detail. We asked the officers, why is this happening? Did you expect this? And the answer is yes. Every other Victorian council that's done this has had a similar experience in the first year. And Cardinia did a large communication program in comparison to other councils, but the message, it hasn't got through to everyone yet. Based on the experiences of other councils, we expect by the end of year 2, so in 12 months' time, that the message will have gotten across. So this time next year, your neighbours should be booking their own. And until then, I want to assure the community that we are listening and we will pick it up and we won't fine you, but please call us. There's huge financial benefits to doing it this way. So we're just asking for another 12 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll go to, the seconder, Councillor Kowaczyk, to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Davies, for withdrawing this item and speaking to it. I actually am on a bit of a similar line to you, Councillor Davies. I've been contacted by a number of residents within Pakenham Hills Ward regarding concerns that other people have used their 2 hard waste collections for the year. And this particularly happens in the instance of rental properties, with people moving in and out of properties within a year, as well as unit sites that we have throughout, probably more central to Pakenham. Now, I've raised this with council staff and been assured that if those residents get in contact with council, this will get sorted. So if you find yourself in a situation where you've moved in a property, you've tried to book hard waste online and it's come up with an error saying you've already used your 2 allocations for the year, give customer service a ring, let them know your circumstances, that you've just moved into the property, and they'll be able to get that sorted for you. So I just wanted to identify that, Mayor and Councillor Davies, because I think it's important as part of getting the message out there with the bookable hard waste collection service that we are committed to as a council. We know there's teething problems, but just work through with us, I should say. Give customer service a call, let them know your circumstances, and if that is not working, please reach out to your local councillor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kwasi. Any other councillors wishing to speak to this item? I can't see any. Before I go back to Councillor Davies, I just briefly want to talk about what's in the report, the Indigenous plant giveaway, the Cardinia Environment Coalition's nursery. There's been a couple of giveaway days and over 2,000 residents attended those opportunities of free plants. So I appreciate there's been a number of residents that go down and got their plants, so that's really good. Great to see that nursery operating down at Deep Creek. Also, the bushland team work. So the Natural Reserve team have been busy undertaking their annual maintenance program. This has included in-house crews undertaking weed control works across bushland reserves and revegetation. Over 2,800 Indigenous plants was planted at these reserves. Also, the Working for Victoria crew, we all know Working for Victoria was a program obviously rolled out by council but supported by the Victorian government in relation to COVID response with employing residents. And it's been a fantastic program, and they've been in some of our reserves at Emerald Lake Park, Cardinia Aqueduct Trail, Bunyip Sanctuary and Pepe's Land, just supporting council in those reserves, supporting when COVID restrictions allow our friends of groups and land care groups in those areas as well. So I just want to acknowledge the great work that's being done in some of our council reserves. So I will go back to Councillor Davies to sum up. Thank you, Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kwasi, for speaking tonight. As well as waste, there's a range of incredible, exciting sustainability and environment initiatives, the bushland, the plants, the solar projects. But getting back to waste, our council officers tell us they understand and they'll work with us for hard waste. So let's give it another 12 months because it's worth it based on the savings that don't correlate into council's expenditure and then expenditure on all of us. And I can reiterate Councillor Kowalsk's advice. If the previous occupiers of your home have used both collections before you moved in, we will give you another collection without cost. And if your neighbours load up your nature strip or, you know, the magical aliens do it, we're not going to charge you. Just call us, explain, we'll sort it out. Let's give it another 12 months. Let's laugh about it this time next year. I know it's stressful, but they tell us it's worth it. Thank you very much, and thank you to all the staff involved in this huge program of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Councillors, I'll put this item 6.5.2, the Environment Quarterly Report, up to a vote. All those in favour, please indicate by show of hands. Thank you. Thank you. Any against? I can't see any against. That's carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to the last withdrawn item, that is item 6.5.3, the Major Projects Report. And this item has also been withdrawn by Councillor Davies. Thank you, Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I enjoy reading the Major Projects reports, and I move firstly that Council notes the report and accepts the officer's advice and recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Can I have a second up, please? Thank you, Councillor Radford. I see you. Thank you, Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Radford. Road projects. We've got numerous maintenance and drainage works projects underway and fully funded by Council to gain an understanding of the costs and the project components. Detailed design work is being undertaken for Bessie Creek Road, Huxtable Road, Mount Lyell Road, Door Road and the Lewis Road. So this will enable informed planning and scheduling. Likewise, we've got some footpath projects which are scoped and under various stages of pre-planning, and which will also all be delivered before the end of the year. That includes a kilometre of crushed rock path, fencing and drainage along the Tumac Valley Road, Kenilworth Avenue, some drainage and 400 metres of path on the railway side, Denhams Road, Cooey Rup, 350 metres of new paths, and Princes Highway and Pakenham, both the north side and the south side, getting new concrete path and some actual pedestrian bridges on the south side. We've also got playground renewal works, recently some consultation, but we have committed under this year's capital works plan before the end of the financial year to redevelop Barker Road, Garfield, Bales Flora and Fauna Park, Dutton Place in Pakenham, Ray Canopy in Pakenham, Walnut Way in Pakenham, Windermere Boulevard in Pakenham and Divine Drive in Pakenham. There's a huge amount of exciting projects, but I'll just conclude my opening just mentioning Ronald Reserve. Thank you very much to the federal government for assisting council with funding contribution. Works is still underway. Whilst we have had some delays, we are promised that our clubs will be back home by the end of the year. So a huge thank you to everyone involved, and the growth and the project work is certainly exciting and will benefit our Shire for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll go to Councillor Radford as seconder to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Davies, for withdrawing this item for discussion. I too am always excited to read it each month, what's been done. I'm always amazed at how much gets done each month as well. So as you mentioned, the Footpath Projects is underway. So it's very exciting that footpath from Beaconsfield to Arena Shopping Centre, there is some more development along that way. It will depend on weather when it is completed, but it's still carrying on. So that's great to see. Another item on the list is the Arcadian neighbourhood new park and open space. I'm not sure what the name is going to be because it does have a large dragon in it, and there's already a dragon park within our Shire. So we'll see what name they come up with. But it's a 1 hectare park that's been designed with a fantasy theme and includes a large dragon as the centrepiece with various play equipment coming from it. The dragon is designed and delivered by the same artist that created the Dragonfly at Deep Creek Reserve, and I've seen it. It's magnificent. It's just amazing. The park also includes shelters, barbecues, a basketball half-court, drinking fountain and a kickabout space. It's located on the corner of Flanagan Avenue and Campanella Way. It's anticipated that the park would be open within a month. And final touches and audits are being undertaken. I'm assuming that while current restrictions have now been announced today, that might be delayed slightly, but it is very exciting for the community to have this wonderful park due to open. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Any other councillors wishing to speak? First of all, Councillor Kwasi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to my fellow councillors for speaking to this item already. I just want to highlight a couple of projects, if I can, within Pakenham Hills. So it's very exciting. Just some playground renewal stuff. I know residents within Cardinia Grove have been contacted or are about to be contacted regarding the Walnut Way playground in Pakenham. So community consultation is underway there. I had a meeting with the relevant council officer there today. The consultation is going to go on for another 3 weeks, and the feedback so far has been remarkable. So please keep getting in touch with council regarding that if you live in the Cardinia Grove area off Tumac Valley Road there, because the more feedback they get, the better the park and the playground is going to be, and the more closely it's going to be aligned to your expectations. Also want to give a shout out to the Windermere Boulevard playground upgrade, which will be happening within this financial year. We haven't started on the community consultation with that yet, but that will be underway shortly. I do get asked about that one weekly, but that is certainly on its way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk. I'll go to Councillor Ross, then Councillor Ryan. Thank you, Councillor Ross.
I'm flexible. Whoever wants to go next. I think we've all got something in our ward that's special for us. I must say, I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that are happening in Central Ward. The IYU Recreational Reserve Athletics Track. This is an extremely exciting project, and I met down for some pictures the other day with the athletics club, the junior athletics club, to look over the space where there will be a 10-lane synthetic and associated athletic sports track built down there. This will be a huge thing for our local area, as at the moment schools and clubs and anyone who wants to practice for athletics or even just do some light jogging basically have to go over to Casey or further towards Dandenong or back towards Warragul or far back into Gippsland to find a place that you can actually do this in. And this project has been fully funded by council. The construction is planned to come about in late 2021 and will be completed in June 2022. I must say, in conjunction with this, they'll get a new clubhouse too. And for anyone who's seen where they are at the moment, I must say this will be like a light years ahead thing for them. At the moment, they've got a clubhouse which is only basically a storage shed with probably the worst toilets in all of the Shire in it. They will move to a wonderful new place, and it's such a delight because everybody in the local area will be able to benefit. Even the little athletics club I went to visit the other day up at Cockatoo, I'm sure they'll feel great to come down to use the facilities as well if they want to run some regional events and the whole lot of it. So that's an extremely exciting project. I know that project has been coming about for a long, long time on council, and we're about to see it happen. Also, too, I would like to highlight the Cardinia Road crossings, level crossing removal, which, as people can see, has been removed, and when we thank the state government for funding this as part of the removal crossings project. But I must say, something that people probably haven't seen is when you look down to the side of it, there's a car parking, extra car parks that get put in, and this actually gets factored into nearly all of the car park crossings. You get extra with crossing removals, you get extra car parking towards the station. So that'll be wonderful, because I know down there's a battle between the people who park at the train station with the people who go to use the shopping centre, and it's always, you know, they're putting up their signs and trying to keep the right people in the right areas. But with the extra car parking, there shouldn't be this issue. So, and I must say too, when I have a look at over all of these major projects, I want to thank all the people involved for the funding on these things. We have a total mixture of people where the money comes from. I mean, when you go through it, we have developer contributions, we have PSP in these areas, and they're called DCPs through the developer contributions. We have out of our council reserves as well. We have our budget, which incorporates sometimes all of it. We have the state government, we have the federal government, who have different grants and funding pools that they give towards our projects. And also too, that's really important, at election time, we have state and federal parties who run, and they make promises to put towards different projects inside the Shire. So we have this mixture of all this money coming in. I must say, when I sometimes go to other councils, particularly ones that aren't growth ones, it's really sad they don't have a whole lot of things that they build towards. They're mainly maintaining. Fortunately, in Cardinia Shire, being the growing interface council that we are, we have so many projects going on all the time. So anyway, I look forward to all these and hearing the insight by my fellow councillors on their ward and what they find special. Give me some insight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Ryan first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Just a few projects. And this is always, as Councillor Davies says, you know, this is an exciting part of our work, and working with the officers within Cardinia Shire. It just shows that projects are getting done. Sometimes there's delays, but that happens. But these projects are getting completed, and we're really proud to mention them in this item. So I'd like to mention the Pakenham Regional Tennis Centre Pavilion extension. It's a proposed extension for the Pakenham Tennis Club, who will be relocating across to the tennis centre, comprising of a steel frame structure, full height glazing kitchen, unisex toilets, balcony overlooking the courts, and provision for a 2-person lift, which is great for people with disabilities or in wheelchairs or other aids that they may use. They will still be able to go up on that balcony and watch the tennis games. This is fully funded by council, which is really great, and the project is expected to be completed February 2022. It may be a bit of a delay due to COVID, but we have to accept that. My Place Youth Facility, there has been a update on the facility following the withdrawal of the preferred tender submissions. A report is being prepared, detailing the options available to allow project delivery within the allotted within the allocated budget. The delay to the project schedule will be assessed and addressed once confirmed. So it was aimed to be finished, completed in mid 2022, so it could be much later in the year that it's completed. One of the other things that I'm really proud that's going to be a project that we talked about in the PB Ronald Masterplan is the Multicultural Hub feasible study. Now, this is a study to assess it. The project is to undertake a feasible study, including community and key stakeholders consultation that will outline proposed for the hub, range of community activities and services to be offered to the hub, potential location sites, which they've now announced that it will be at the PB Ronald site, service model, design features that should be included, case studies on similar hubs, including learnings. I don't know what it's brushed out there, sorry. Concept design include cost estimate. Now, this will be jointly funded by council and the Australian government, and the design study completed by 2021 in September. And I think one of the other things that I'll mention that Councillor Ross mentioned about the rail crossing removals. In the main street, within probably the next couple of months, it may be shorter than that, you will be seeing in and around more workers within the area. There will be a building going on at the end of PB Ronald Park for the staff to be attending in the office there. So there'd be round about, they estimate, between 200 and 300 workers. Not at the same time, because they'll be working with what they're allowed within COVID. This is great for our community within the main street, especially our cafes and these workers buying lunches, and hopefully they'll buy up big. But it will encourage some of the cafes to look forward to that and not be surprised when they start seeing the activity there. So it's a proud project. It's a long time that's coming, but there's lots of other projects that will interact with that. That's my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Any other councillors wishing to speak? I see you, Councillor Moore. Go ahead, Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got nothing to add, believe it or not. I know this sounds very strange for a particularly this major projects, but Councillor Davies mentioned the only thing that's happening in Bunyip Ward, which is the Barker Road playground, and it's something that I'm happy for Councillor Davies to mention it, because we all should mention it, because it's a fantastic upgrade to this playground, which is alongside the kindergarten. So it's a major playground for this area along Garfield Road, which Barker Road comes off. So it's something to really highlight. And that's about all we have in Bunyip Ward at the moment. I don't know whether we're just being very efficient there, getting all the projects finished, which I think is fantastic. I just want to tell the community out there, the Bunyip Ward community, just watch this space. We've got more major projects coming, I'm sure, and I'll have more to talk about when this comes up in a few months' time. But thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any other councillors wishing to speak? Before I go back to Councillor Davies, I can't see any at the moment. So briefly, I would like to say some words, if that's right, councillors. The Upper Beaconsfield Recreation Reserve building master plan, and it's fantastic. This project is progressing. We had a fantastic meeting last week with our acting GM, Kristen Jackson, and also the committee at the reserve. And it was a really productive meeting. So that master plan design process is well underway, and hopefully we can finalise that soon to then go to the next stages of designs and costing. So that's really great for the Upper Beaconsfield community. Also, at that reserve, there will be a new toilet block there, which has been funded by the Australian government. So that is warmly welcomed. That old toilet block on that reserve is probably 40, 50 years old, probably almost. So it's great to see a renewal of public amenities, public toilets at that reserve. So I look forward to that being completed in the coming months. Great news for our community. Since the last council meeting, we saw the opening up of the turning on of the traffic control signals at O'Neill Road in Beaconsfield. That follows the recent opening up of the Glissman Road signal. So we do thank the Australian government, also our local MP, the member for Latrobe, Jason Wood, for his advocacy in that space and getting significant dollars for these two intersections and others in years to come, which is outlined in the report. So I look forward to those next upgraded intersections at Brunt Road, Tibandale Road, Bayview Road, McMullen, Arena Parade and Thulis Road. So Council has commenced the planning design stages and works regarding those other intersections, which is great. Councillors did touch on regarding the playground renewal works. I think Councillor Kowaczyk mentioned that, and a couple of other councillors as well. I love this playground renewal program. Other councillors have received sort of emails in the past week or so. What about us? Can I just reassure our community that we've got a program of renewing our playgrounds right across our Shire, and we'll go and achieve those renewals over a period of time. But we, as listed in the agenda, we've got a number of playground renewals that we've started that community consultation, and I do love the way we engage it, particularly our young people, regarding what they want to see at these playground renewals. And I'm really pleased that in the coming months we're going to officially open the Keith Ewanson Park in Upper Beak with that playground renewal, and also Kath Roberts Reserve in Beaconsfield, which is completed. And I do look forward to better times where our young people can utilise these playgrounds. I know our community is looking forward to those times. So thank you, councillors. That's been well covered, that report. I will go back to Councillor Davies to sum up. Thanks, Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. And Councillor Moore, and I certainly didn't mean to steal your thunder. I was just quite excited with the huge list of playground renewals, and thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk, for providing more detail on the playgrounds in Pakenham Hills ward. I can confirm also Officer District Park is still on track for construction commencing early 2022. And the deck on the Lakeside Lake, it's nearly finished. It's been quite the saga. Specialist structural consultants, specialised materials and atypical existing design, but we are nearly there. A huge thank you to Cardinia's General Manager, Peter Benazik, and his staff, and thank you to the residents for waiting. Yes, it's been nearly 12 months, and this will be quite the story once it's complete. As our Mayor, Councillor Owen and Councillor Ross have mentioned, this huge program of work underway is supported by the state and the federal governments and the private development sector, and we thank you. Councillor Radford also mentioned Sparkling Away, the new Dragon Park, and in the Arcadian neighbourhood. I'm really looking forward to going there. It's definitely something different. So thank you to Satterley, the developer. And if you just head towards Flanagan Avenue or even the Arcadia estate in general, you'll see glimpses of sparkle. So it's quite cool. And but in conclusion, I move that officers note the office. In conclusion, I move that council notes the officers' report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Councillors, I'll put this item up for a vote. All those in favour, please indicate by a show of hands, please. Thank you. Thank you. Those against, that's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. That concludes discussion of the items withdrawn. Councillors, may I have a mover, please, to adopt the officer's recommendations for the remaining items? Councillors, I see Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Kowaczyk. Councillors, I've put that up for a vote. All those in favour, please indicate by show of hands. Thank you. Any against? I can't see any. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Moving on. Get to the next item, councillor reports. Councillors, are there any items you wish to report on, councillors? You, Councillor Kowaczyk first, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to use my time during councillor reports to thank the Cardinia Shire community for doing the right thing and to remind everyone to stay alert with following the health advice regarding masks and social distancing. Obviously, we've had some more bad news today with lockdowns being extended and increasing in severity, a number of closures of recreational facilities as well as playgrounds, some really challenging circumstances facing our community. It's been a tough month, some would say a tough year and a bit, and will likely continue to be, but our community is showing resilience and persevering through these challenges. I want to remind everyone, though, that it's okay to show vulnerability. If you aren't persevering through or you aren't one of those feeling resilient, never be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Council's website, as our Mayor mentioned earlier, has a number of resources from financial to mental health support services, as well as emergency relief support services and also food support services. So please reach out to Council, reach out to the website if you need support and get in touch with one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kowaczyk. Well said. Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Radford. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just quickly use this time also to say a formal welcome to Councillor Cameron. It's nice to see you here at your first meeting, and I look forward to hopefully this year seeing you in person, but we'll just have to wait and see how the restrictions go on that one. I imagine it's probably a bit overwhelming coming into your first meeting online, so but welcome. What I wanted to highlight was I had attended the Officer Sikh Temple inauguration of their new car park. There were some fellow councillors there with me. It turned out it had been scheduled to be in person meeting at the temple and had been rescheduled a couple of times due to the restrictions. It was a well attended event. on Zoom, and I have a feeling they reached nearly 60 people in attendance, and it was to celebrate the completion of a new 41 car parking spaces and associated roads with that. That was achieved with the successful application of grants, and what really struck me was the many hours of voluntary work, which equated to approximately $50,000. So they had a good team of volunteers behind them to get the majority of this work done. I'd like to say special thanks to my friend and COVID Recovery Committee member, Harpreet Kandra. You did well done on showing resilience and adapting this event to a fantastic online presentation. I really enjoyed it, and it gave me the opportunity to focus on something other than my four walls. So it was great. Thank you for putting it online, and well done, and congratulations to everyone involved with the Sikh Temple. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford, for your report. I'll go to Councillor Ryan. Thank you, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. The 3rd of August, before we were locked down again, I went to the Pakenham Police Station. It was for a photo shoot for Connect, but we also did an interview with the police in reference to the CCTV installation that has been installed at the Living and Learning Centre, the Pakenham Library, outside the library, updating Burke Park cameras, and also Kuwirup swimming pool. It was a lot of fun, very windy outside, and some of the police officers didn't want to be in the video. So, you know, the inspector kind of passed it down the line as to, you do it, I don't want to be on it. So it was quite funny. So, you know, it brightened up my day as having a bit of a time out from the house. And then again, we went back into lockdown. So that was a bit sad. Also attended online the Housing Summit, Affordable Housing and Homelessness. This is a really important area that Council is very passionate about, and there were quite a lot of people at the summit, and it had great discussions on where we go from here, what expectations there were, what things that people have noticed during the time that you know, we have been talking publicly about homelessness and being aware of what we can do to help the community and help the people that need our help, and you know, it was really interesting. So that's it'll be all downloaded onto the website, which it makes great reading, and I think it's just something that's just so important. Pakenham itself, we are seeing quite a few people that are homeless and sleeping on the ground in and amongst some of the shops there, and it's really hard to see that. It's really it's heart-wrenching to see that, you know, we need to do more to help supply affordable housing for people in our communities all around, not just Cardinia Shire. The other meeting I went to online was the Cardinia Shire Youth Network meeting, and the Mayor was there as well, which was lovely to see. And that's always great, always fantastic things that come out, sometimes unexpected things that you wouldn't even think of, and someone has looked outside the square. And I think it's really important for our youth that we have this networking that's been a continual ongoing basis, well, since I've been in Council, but I think it was probably way back before I came to Council. And the youth are important within our community, and we also talked about how we can interact, our youth, with our seniors, and how important that is, because both areas can learn something from each other. So I really enjoyed that, and I always look forward to the next one. And lastly, as Councillor Moore, I've had my second COVID injection, so I now have my certificate that I can travel overseas eventually. I urge everyone from 50 onwards to get out there and not be afraid to have your injection, because it's really important. And the more people have their injections now, we've got even younger ages that are being covered with injections. I think it's important that the more numbers we get, then it's less lockdowns. And so that's really, really quite important. And lastly, some of the repairs that I thank the teams for coming out. They were so quick on the job at PB Ronald Reserve. 2 of the toilets were blocked, and so the team came out within a short time of the phone call, and so they unblocked the toilets. The disabled toilet was locked, but luckily enough, no one was locked in there, so that was repaired. And also the guttering around the toilet area was falling off, so that's now been replaced. So again, I thank the team, and it just shows you that council and our teams just work so well together that, something like that needs to be fixed straight away is fixed straight away, no matter whether we're in COVID or not. It gets done. So that's all I've got to report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan, for your report. Any other councillors wishing to speak? I see none, but briefly, thank you, councillors, for reporting on your activities. Thanks, Councillor Radford, talking about the car park opening, and it was well done. It really was, and very different in trying circumstances, but well done to the group there, and thank you for what they continue to do for our community, particularly during these tough times that before us. Thank you, Councillor Ryan. You did talk about the homelessness and the housing summit, Cardinia Housing Summit, which we were part of. I had some IT issues, but we got through that. And I had the fortunate role to provide a speech for the first birthday of Headspace in Pakenham, and it's great to have Headspace in Pakenham at the Point, which is the old chapel area there on the corner of Main Street and McGregor. And it's just great that we've been able to attract that fantastic service for our young people. No other time more important to support our young people with mental health. So it was great that we celebrated them being in Cardinia, being at Pakenham for a year. So also, we continue our advocacy in the lead up to the state and federal elections. I met with SEATS, South East Australian Transport Strategy. We joined up with them earlier this year to help us in our advocacy process. So that was really great. And it was great to attend that youth network as well, Councillor Ryan. Probably, I don't know, I think it was like 50 people tuning into that network, which is great. They don't get those numbers normally when they're in-person meetings, but to get that amount of, those stakeholders in the room as such was great. And I appreciate all our community during these tough times, and I just love how they're innovative and they try different things to continue to meet. So thank you, everyone. We'll go to the next item, tabling of any petitions, councillors. Is there any petitions that councillors have that they wish to table at this point of time? I see none. Just bear with me. That concludes that part of the agenda. Moving on to community question time. And I note that council has received 2 questions from Mr. McNabb. For all relevant purposes, identical questions have previously been asked and answered at a council meeting in the past. On this basis, and consistent with the governance rules, I don't intend to read or otherwise deal with these questions of Mr. McNabb's. We've got a further question from a resident, Cheryl Billing-Smith. I'll refer that question to our CEO, Carol Jeffs. Thank you, Ms. Jeffs.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Ms. Billing-Smith, for your question. And the question reads, why are councillors expenses and out-of-pocket expenses not itemised in detail in each claim. Councillor Davies has a claim for more than $9,000 for childcare, travelling and out-of-pocket. Why is this not itemised with dates and why the claim is as big as it is? Also, Councillor Springfield has a claim for more than $9,000. Why is this not itemised with dates, etc.? Thank you for your question, Ms Billings-Smith. And I just firstly would like to correct the amounts of claims for each councillor because I think that should be corrected. The total since election claimed by Councillor Davies is in fact $7,920 and $8,549 for Councillor Springfield. And both of these include expenses for councillor development activities. And in addition, all expenses have been approved in accordance with the councillor expenses policy. So in relation to the detail in each claim, councillor expense claims submitted for approval do contain the details you outline in your question, and these are then summarised by category and by month on the council's website. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, CEO. Thank you, councillors. That concludes tonight's meeting. I'd like to thank you for your interest, and people watching on the webcast, thank you for watching again. I do remind everyone that residents, if you are concerned by the current COVID restrictions, to check council's website, as stated previously by a number of councillors. There's information regarding services that are available or any other assistance that we can provide as a council. Thank you once again for watching tonight's meeting. Please take care, everyone. I now declare the meeting closed. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.